Hello, it's moi. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm proud of myself for coming. I've been a better. When I say a better, I mean a better. Okay. So, YouTube was telling me, you know what? Let us not go into that. Let us talk about what I want to talk about today. And I want to talk about Nebuchadnezzar and his dream, right? And the significance of the dream and what the dream means from Daniel's interpretation and from what it represents to now. Okay. There's a lot to be said because if you go deep into it and you connect it with Daniel's dream also and the structure of the Bible, you understand what it means. And it really broke a lot down because if you understand what the Bible means, not from what people saying it means of the value of the texts, I mean the representation of the Bible, the structure of it. That's what I'm talking about. The structure, because if we go back to Genesis, it shows that in the time Abraham, it shows that Nimrod was building the Tower of Babel, right? It shows that. So it's the scene that it tells you that the form of what it means, that means all stories are connected in lining, but in all different people's perspective, but it's the same story, and what is happening in the same timeline. See, because if you go back to Abraham with his father, it shows that he was raised with Noah's son, right? And Ham, Abraham, and it was Noah's grandson end up being hold on, it was Cush, because I'm not mistaken, that was Nimrod's father. You see where I'm going? It's just understand the nature of what I'm going here. Let's know that timelines was connected for this to happen. Now, we know that Nebuchadnezzar follows with David. And to know that Abraham was a spring at that time, like an offspring. And in that same time, in that same timeline of Abraham being in the cave because his father put him in the cave. Lot was being born. So I just tell you about who's connected to what in what timeline, to know the structure of these stories to come together for how we have the Bible. Okay, so let's talk about Nebuchadnezzar and his dream. So, and what it means to us now. So, in Nebuchadnezzar's reign, he had a dream, and none of his warlocks and his Chaldees weren't able to foretell his dream, because in the scriptures it says that they wanted him to tell them what the dream is so they can interpret it. But the way he saw the dream, it says that his spirit was so troubled that his sleep left him. That means he was suddenly woke up out of his sleep. Like, it frightened him that much that he woke up and startled, like, oh no, It scared him. So he don't want to say the dream for them to tell him what it is. You know, maybe they would tell him wrong, but if they can tell him the dream by not him saying anything, that means they can know the structure and what of the dream so they can interpret it properly. So it won't be no trickster about it. So now nobody could tell the dream. So he said, well, since y'all don't know nothing, I'm gonna put y'all to the test now. Y'all gonna go die. Y'all gonna die. That was his plan. Like, so he was like, no, y'all not his, y'all not telling me what it is. So I guess y'all not sure about what you do. You know what I mean? I'm sure about what I do. That's what he's saying, but y'all not sure what I do. So in the process of setting out to kill that, everyone, they go up, run up on David, and he's like, excuse me, hold up, sir, hold up, ding dong, hold up, sir, you know, I don't know where you're coming with this. I wasn't there. You can't think you're about to take me out the game. I don't know any about that. So what's up with this? So he went to the king. It's like, you know what? Give me some time. Let me go talk to Yahweh and let me see what's up. And he's like, all right, I'll give you some time. So God put it in his dream so he can be able to tell him what it was. So Daniel's like, all right, instead of you run off and go quickly to go kill off these dudes, let me tell you what it is. So he gave God all the glory and praise to make us. He was the one that stored it in his dreams where he can be able to see what it was. So he started telling him about the dream. So it says, he says, okay, you, O king, were watching and behold a great image. This great image whose splendor was excellent stood before you, and its form was awesome. I mean, it was like gigantic. It probably was a huge image. Like, it was very tall or something. The head was of gold, the chest and arm of silver, and his belly and thighs of bronze, and his leg of iron, and his feet partly of iron and partly of clay. And you watched while the stone was cut out without hand, which struck the image, and his feet and iron and clay broke them in pieces. Then the iron and clay and the bronze and the silver and gold were crushed together and became like the floor, and the wind carried them away, so that no trace of them was found. And the stone that stuck the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. This is a dream. Now we will interpret it. So, in his interpretation, he said, "You, O king, are a king of kings, for the God of heaven has given you the kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. And whenever the children of men dwelled, or the beasts of the field, or the birds of the heavens, he has given them into your hand, and has made you rulers over them, and you are the head of gold." Man, that he have structure and value in that land, so he have a say in so. You know, he's not mean and cruel as of yet. But after you shall arise another kingdom, inferior to yours, and another and a third of a bronze, which shall rule over all the earth. And the fourth kingdom shall be as strong as iron, and as such as the iron break in pieces and shatters in everything. And like iron that crushes that kingdom, will break into pieces and crush all the others. Whereas you saw the feet and toes partly of pottery clay and partly of iron. The kingdom shall be divided, yet the strength of the iron shall be in it. Just as you saw the iron mix with ceramic clay like cement, and as the toe of the feet were partly clay and partly of iron, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly fragile. As you saw the iron mix with the ceramic clay, is like, how you say, like marble and cement, like stone, right? Will mingle with the seed of men, and they will not adhere to another, just as iron do not mix with clay. And in the days of these kings, God of heaven will set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall be left to the other people, and they shall break into pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. And as such, you saw that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and it would break into pieces. The iron, the bronze, the clay, the silver, the gold. The great God who made known the king what will come to pass after this. And the dream is certain, and its interpretation is sure. So the king Nebuchadnezzar fell to his face. So basically what he's telling him is, there's going to be many kingdoms that comes after you. After your reign, there are going to be other kingdoms come after your reign. He's thinking another kingdom's going to take him over as like right now, like not in the future, because he's such full of greed and hatred. Well, now come on him, because he's like, why you're going to interpret my dream, but But why would he interpret my dream? But now I'm going to build this image now, the image that he saw. But the image wasn't for him to build. The image was for people, for him to see that his hatred and how he is gonna go down from generation, and each kingdom that comes after him will portray the same thing like him. That's where Nimrod come in. Because it's basically set in stone for they all to be of the same status, they of the same. And they're saying that each kingdom that comes is still in the same image. And he's thinking of a kingdom going to be greater than he. It's going to be better. But but he's trying to tell him that how you are and the structure how you are, each kingdom that comes in will be of the same, but they're going to spread it more than how you could. But it's the same thing, basically. So, and in my research, looking up on all these different kingdoms, we know about what happened. It was, what were all these structures? Let me explain. After Nebuchadnezzar, it was the Egyptians, and then the Romans, and then Greece, and then the Romans, and then after the Romans, it was transformed into another age, and then it turned into the Catholic Church. And that's the structure that David was talking about. But that was just for the head. We're talking about the rest of the body.
Yeah.
I've seen other people with the display of the body, of the structure of how with the Egyptians, with the Romans, and how they came together of the lining to have that. But I'm looking at it in today's term because of what it says. It says latter days, like later days. That means those days to portray for us days now. So it's not just those days for that structure of time. It means the whole capacity of its time, the whole length of it. So it means until now, to see what was the structure of Babylon. See, I'm going with that. So there's other places that is portraying the same image of Babylon. That's basically what the statue means. So we know those days of the structure of Babylon, what it was, right? We know what it was. We know of Nimrod. We know about the Egyptian Nebuchadnezzar, because he's a part of the Babylonian times before it passed down to the Egyptians, the Greeks, the Romans. And even those people that are around those times were talking about that. Malachi and his name is Habakkuk. Yes, booby. Even he was talking about it too. Zechariah, to name a few, that was talking about what was going on in the different structures of Babylonian times. To see what was the forming of the Old Testament. You get what I'm saying? But let's talk about what that structure would represent for us now. Because the research gets a little... Because I'm like, I had to look back at Abraham. And then you see the structure with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Because before Nebuchadnezzar, before he did what he did, Nimrod did the same thing. If you think about it, because before Abraham was brought in this cave by his father, Nimrod punished him for destroying his father's image. Remember that. And he was burnt because of that. Yeah, but let's not talk about that. Nothing happened to him. And yeah, but let's not talk about that. Let's go and see what the structure of this image means for us now. Let's see. My daughter eating Reese's. I hope she'll like it. So the head is gold, right? And they said the chest and the arm was of silver. The belly and the thighs of bronze. The leg of iron. And the feet partly of iron and partly of clay. Right? And we saw the different structure of the of all the kingdoms that came after in the Babylonian times, with the Romans and before the Romans. Who it was, right? So I'm like, okay. And I'm seeing it in the different ages of times. Because it was the Babylonians and after that it was the Persia, Greece, Rome, and then when Europe and Rome got invaded, where we put the structure of what it was for it to be up to now, right? With the Rome and with Europe, with the timeline of for the structure of the Babylonian time to have the image, right? But let's put it into today's form. So each lining will be, let me show you. and being Nebuchadnezzar, right? We know about the structure of how the Roman, Persia, Greece, and it goes back to Roman. And when the invasion of Roman to the Europe to the present times, but look how it's structured with today. Since to know how the image it is, because remember the structure is still building now because Babylonian time is still here now. So let's see how it is. It's Neb being the head because that's the image they're portraying. With the Roman Greece, because those are the portraying line that comes down for it to be the arms and silver. Because remember, they're the ones that making us believe in Jesus. If you remember, Roman and Greece, I was around those doctrines around the same time when they're trying to take over each kingdom. Remember that. And now they're still having that structure of us doing, because they took us from our original root of Hebrew, being Israelites, and that image is being portrayed all over the world. Because in the New King James Version, it doesn't have any Hebrew writing of Yahweh or any Hebrew writing of Yahshua. It says the Roman version of its interpretation, calling him Jesus Christ instead of Yahshua. Because remember, it says its structure will be all over the world, and we're still on the arms and chest being silver. Now the belly will go back to the Roman times. So remember, they did go back and destroy and divided Judah. Remember that, with England. Remember, because and that time they added the Roman calendar, and having those paganism holidays that's added with Christianity. Remember that. Now, the thighs would be bronze. That would be. Bless you. May God bless you, booby. That would be America being bronze, because it's still under the structure of Roman Christianity. And the leg of iron will be England, because they still have the structure in the Constitution of America with England. And I always thought, where would Australia fit in? But Australia is under England, so it's still the same. And we go to the clay, that will be China. And since we know the structure of England have a lot of ties with England, and it's very kept secret, so we don't really know about, but they have close ties.
No.
Because remember how the dream was interpreted. It tells us in the interpretation what will be the structure of Babylonian times to all the era that follow the same guideline and structure, but try to make it more better in their terms and form of their kingdoms that still portray the same image. You see what I'm saying? Because they're talking about latter days. So I'm always seeing where Israel come into all this, right? That's where Jerusalem come in, since it was said that there would be a new Jerusalem. So that is the structure that would shatter the image and everything, and that would be the mighty mountain, the new Jerusalem that God promised, that God is talking about, that needs to be formed in the latter days. Because I'm like, what does this image stand for? A lot. That's where David's dreams come in. Because even in his dream, it connects to his dream, because it's explaining the structure of the kingdoms to come, what is to happen, because they portray the same thing, but before the image is shattered for the new to come in, all those things have to happen. In his dream, it talks about what is to happen, where he saw the kingdoms that would be coming, that would give the mark of the beast. And that brings us back to the Dark Ages. And the Dark Ages means when you cannot read the Bible. Those were the days back in the Roman times when they were crucifying and killing people who were reading the Bible. Because in those structure of ages, you had what was in the lining with the Dark Ages? Let me see. I wrote it down. Because with the Dark Ages, you have the Heroic Ages. It's where human died and went to an asylum. And you have the Iron Ages, when children disown their parents and brethren, and they have social distances between them. That's the Iron Age. And the Dark Ages is when you can't read the Bible. So now it's like humanity is repeating itself, because it's like we're going back in days, like we're going back to BC instead of in the AC. You get what I'm saying? Like, we're trying to go back to before Moses. Like, it's back to the time of Noah. Like, its time is repeating itself. Like, we're going backwards instead of forwards. You get what I'm saying? Because the dream is connected to us times. And even in the dream, in David's dream, it was interpreted of who I was talking about. Europe with the division of Rome's, because it was divided into 10 different tribes, if you understand what I mean. The Swiss, the French, the Italian, the English, Portuguese, Spanish, the other ones that were extinct. It kind of in line with everything, because it's all eyes point back to Rome, and everything that lines up when you do your research, everything points back to Rome, because how everything is structured is specifically telling you that the beast will come from Rome. And that's just to think about. That is something to take heed of, because it's talking about how long this power will stand for. Now, if you really look at the papacy of Rome, it's a state, but it's also a place of power that do worship. You see what I'm saying? So it brings us back to saying that he's the one that is constructing these one world government, but the one world it was meant for me to say that, because it was supposed to say religion, but it says government. The one world religion for all humanity coming together, worshiping together, but saying that all roads lead to the same source. Even with the wash down and the division inside of Christians itself, because of the structure of how they did it, because they divided the Israelites, gave them the Bible after it's been misinterpreted. They can't misinterpret everything because it's written in parable form and structured in a way by different people, and the way it was formed, they don't understand it because it's it's for the people, God's people, to understand how Yahshua got here, and how they structure it in a way for you to not understand it. Because if you don't do your research, you're not going to know that all these people were enligning, and how hard and difficulty it took for Yahshua to get here after the ark was built to start over. Like, the difficulty it took. And it was a difficult time, because on those times God had to show face with the prophets for to know the how powerful and strong he is, to go through prophets of Ezekiel, and because they were around those Babylonian times. They're around the times when Romans was taking over, when Greece was taking over, when God put prophets in those times for you to know that all these bad things were happening. He was there. The structure, he was there. They were trying to make it difficult and hard for Yahshua to get here, for the New Testament, for him to be here, for him to complete the task. That the whole point of this came. The resurrection stories after, with prophets who are talking about it, and the storylines of people still talking about the resurrection and his birth, and how we need to prepare for the rapture. That's basically the Bible right there. And if you put it in line and you understand the structure and how everyone was formed for them to be here, you will understand. Ezekiel had to go through it with Jezebel. Think about it. Think about it. All the structure of the Babylonian times for all these prophets to show face with these people battling with their idol gods through these different phrases of people in their kingdoms. Moses with Egypt. You have Greece and Rome. It's all here. That's how the Bible was structured for you to understand. And even in the midst with Jonah, with the whale, when he said, and because remember, the kingdoms were parted those days. Because remember, with David, okay, I don't want to go into that, but understand how each prophet was picked, and how all lines were connected for Joshua to get here. That's how significant these dreams, how important these dreams are, because it ties everything together. His dream ties the whole structure of the Bible. How Abraham got here for Nebuchadnezzar to be even thought of, because Nimrod had to be thought of for Abraham to go through his structure, because all of them follow the same structure. That's how deep the dream was, to say that, how deep that dream was. It is all structured together because Nebuchadnezzar was one of them that invaded Judah. You have to understand, like, how everything was structured, because even through Daniel, it tells you, wow, how deep this dream is. Wow. Because it really put everything together to make you really think. Not only you should take the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego of faith, understand the lineage of how it all structured for it to be foretold. Because do all those things have to happen? Those prophets had to go through those things, because even those prophets during those times that were seeing the lineage of the different kingdoms in the Babylonian times, and they were talking of how they hated everything. Yahweh told them, like, they're going to be destroyed. Don't worry about it, because I'm building a new Jerusalem. Like, even then, it was told. This is amazing when you really understand why the Bible is being structured. It was for us, the lost, to understand how Yahshua came here. The journey of these prophets, to have all these things be told, for them to tell us how mighty God was, how mighty God is, Almighty God forever will be, because His word is forever. Because we weren't there to see what happened then, but for we not to see the miracles and stuff that Yahshua did and believe. Remember, His disciples was stunned to see other stuff He's done, but He said, for the people who believe and understand without even seeing, great is He. God show face, show His strength and His love through all His prophets for us to even have a book to read. So it's not just a book, and it's not just different stories of prophets that actually help us in our time, because it's the same thing that happened now, because time is repeating itself. So of course, everything that's structured in here would definitely represent something in our life. Why? It always will have something for us. Always. Because it's connected. Because we are the latter days. You get what I'm saying? It's great to know. This is good to know. And I was thinking it was going to be hard to explain, but it makes you want to understand more about how they are structured together. And you have to prepare. What first got my attention is when I heard something, and I'm like, word? And I went right into Genesis and I read it. I'm like, they're around the same timeline. So everything is structured together. I said, wow. amazing. In Genesis 11, it tells you how they were building a temple to reach to the heavens. Right? It tells you that. And he scattered them and therefore its name and is called Babel. When they scatter them and they all start speaking different languages. It was telling you about they were building the tower at that time. That how Abraham was connected. You know, it is telling you the beginning, how the evil started with the kingdoms. Then Nebuchadnezzar came in the movement. Lot was being born in the same timeline. It's just, it shows you everything for even Revelation to even be me more than just a doctrine. It's like it foretold it, like this is to be, and it will forever be, because it's connected to the dreams of Nebuchadnezzar, and it was connected to the dream of David. It's connected to Abraham because of Nimrod. Because remember, Abraham, Noah's son, were raised together, kind of, because he's the one that taught him about God, because his father was, at that time, the reign of Nimrod had gods for each day of the week that made with wood and stone, and he broke them. And before then, he was trapped into a cave because his father put him inside there, because Nimrod was foretold by his people that Abraham is bad for him because he's going to destroy his kingdom. That means his lineage of people is going to destroy his kingdom. He was talking about us, because we are his grandchildren. You hear what I'm saying to you? You hear what I'm saying to you? This was back in Genesis, okay? Nimrod was about to destroy Abraham. Thanks to Noah and his children, Ham did what he could do. Ham told him about God because his father couldn't. But thanks to his father for saving his life, and trapped him in the cupboard in his cave for those years. Like, understand the lineage and the story. It tells you a lot. Even he was burned, and God was with him. His garments were not burned. The rope was, not even the hair on his head. He walked around in that fire like it was nothing, praying to God. And what happened with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Soon as they threw him in there, fourth man appeared. They're like, who is this fourth man? He couldn't even believe it. He said he had to take them out. It was pain, stress, and agony. But it was done. You need to understand. The Bible seems like a whole bunch of stuff, just mixy, but it's not. these prophets went through some stuff. They were going through a time that was hard. And the time to come is going to be even harder. Because those 3 days that Abraham have to face, those 3 days that Yahshua had to face, and when he had to be in the grave for him to rise, we have to face those days. They said that he battled death. He battled more than that. He had to battle this demon, and he's chained up as we speak. And he had the chains of hell for him to set him free, for him to open the gates of hell. Those days are to come. The 3 days of darkness. It's coming. It's coming. Not everyone believe about Yahshua dying and being resurrected. But those 3 days of him battling for him to be resurrected, we have to face those 3 days. And God will be with his children in those 3 days. So don't be scared. It has to happen. So we have to be ready mentally, physically, and spiritually. That's why he said, I have the whole armor of God on. Because days to come, which is around the corner, and we're facing them now. But it's just going to get harder as it goes. That we have to be mentally, physically prepared. Your flesh is going to be weak, and you have to be stronger than your flesh. You can't be weak. You gotta be mentally strong. That's what the scriptures are here. So study these scriptures. Memorize them, especially some Psalms. So you can say them aloud, verbatim. Because you know the words of God. You know what I mean? You have to be ready. You can't just say, oh, I'm just gonna say some scriptures. No, you have to be stern in it, because you gotta know that everything is connected. You gotta know it. It is connected. Everything is. There's nothing separated. They're not just stories. It was hard suffering for Yahshua to get here, and he went through hard suffering to die. It was hard suffering to even keep his word alive. There's so much evil down here. So we have to understand that this is not merry-go-rounds and cupcakes. This is not apples and peaches and cream. You gotta be ready for this. Stern and strong. Because these times are great, but not greater than he. You gotta be ready for this. It's famine is here in certain places. Drought is here in certain places. But how the Babylon has to fall for all this to happen. And all eyes leads to America. Hollywood been the most evilest thing in the music here. It's very evil and it's spreading everywhere. And every children is singing it. Your kids are dancing to it. I used to partake until I'm like, no, it's not good for you. Because the things that makes you infinitely want to do. Like, why am I lusting listening to songs like this? Listening to a song like this make me want to have rage and go with my friends doing ratchet stuff that makes no sense. Even though that is not in my personality, but you're persuaded to do it because your friends see it as fun. You don't want to disappoint your friends and you make it seem like, oh, you're a party pooper. I'm not a party pooper, but that's not in my character to act. But if how you want to fit in, you want to do it too. It makes you feel like you have no mind of your own, you know? You gotta really think about these things. Like, are you living off the world, in the world, be off the world, driving with the world? Are you ready to depart from it? Because if not, when it's God gonna say, I know you not, because you rather not leave this. I'd rather leave this. Because I don't have anything structured down here to say that this is enjoyable. There's nothing enjoyable about it. Pleasing your flesh seems okay. Going what other people feel seems okay. Everybody with a different structure and of their analogy what Christianity should be. It's not okay. I don't question God, but I will question you. Okay? And if you're struck where you're doing things is not in the guideline how I see how God is, I have a problem with that. And everybody's like, ooh, how your structure is any different. I'm not saying my structure's any different. If I'm telling you that most things that I'm is in hatred of is of nothing of this world. You should, your antenna should go up. It should. Because the music is bad. And you shouldn't want to have the same structure as the world if you're supposed to be departed from it. So if you're hearing gospel music and it sounds just like how worldly music is, it should put up your antennas. Like, why is it like that? Like, I'm more aware, so I want you to be more aware. That's why I'm saying, it's like if I say something, take heed. It's not like I'm telling you, I'm leading you astray. Like, because I'm understanding the devil plays in the church. And I noticed that. He tampers with the same thing that is trying to lead you to God. I noticed that. And if I see that, I'm telling you that. You gotta take heed. You can't just listen to these pastors because some of them are blind, leading you astray. So it's the blind leading the blind. That's why it's good to have your own relationship with God. Because you got these mega churches out here. It's only after your money and your emotions to keep you under their trap for you to think they can heal you, protect you, guide you. So you always giving up your tithes and offering because they say they can bless you. Like, they depend on you for for them to be stable. And I don't think that is good. That's misleading. They're not leading you to God. They're leading you to the bank. And that's not good. Most of these churches have developed on the structure of money and having you praying for money. What is that about? What is that about? Tithes and offering is for you to help the church, because you're a member of that church. So you're helping that church stay open and be structured enough for everybody in there, and for newcomers to come in so they can feel welcome, to keep the church running. They build it off greed. It's like they turn it into a fashion show. They turn it into a poppy show. It's a mockery. Why these churches don't meet? You should think about what King Solomon did. He built a temple and he was destroyed. Not because of the blasphemous stuff he was doing. It was destroyed because people need to understand your body is the church of God. Is the temple. You need to understand that. Because the church is not going to heaven. Your body is. You, your structure, your soul, what is in that vessel is. Those four walls cannot save you. That man on the pulpit that's supposed to be your shepherd, and you being his flock as sheep, he's supposed to lead you to the master sheep herder. You know what I mean? But if they're not doing that, I don't know. Take heed, brothers and sisters. Times is going to get harder than these. And for us to go through it, we have to be each other's brother's keeper. That means if it's nothing of God, you have to talk about it. Speak on it. And if they don't want to go, leave it alone. Once or twice is good enough. You did your part. You said it was need to be said. Because if not, how these spirits work, you don't want them to play and tamper with your emotions and spirit. So now you're arguing and fighting with this person, trying to persuade them. Because now it seems like persuasion instead of telling them. That's why when it's coming to these things and you're trying to tell people for God, you pray first. So they don't bother and tempt you while you do it. I'm going to end with a song. I just love this song. And then with prayer and we out of here.
Mine eyes to the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord which made heaven and earth. He said, He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. The Lord which keepeth the moon by night. He shall preserve thy soul, even forevermore. Oh, my help, my help. My help, all of
Right. Let me just end with prayer. Dear Yahweh, Heavenly Father, God, I want to thank you for another day. I want to thank you for life. I want to thank you for the sun, the moon, the stars. Thank you for the ground we walk in. Dear Lord, thank you for your son that came and down the cross, the rugged cross they use and go up against everything that you stand for. The cross that they kill your son on, my God. You said when you turn down, crosses will be broken. The Lord, you said you don't like that word. So, Heavenly Father, Abba, God, Yahweh, I ask you touch each and every one that listens to this. Touch from the crown of their head to the sole of their feet. Bless and anoint them, anoint their body and mind, spirit and soul. Let them see your word and understand your word. Let them understand and let them see you for you. See the word foretold. See the prophecies of your word from the beginning to the end that is written. And God bless each and every one, their families and beings that is written in the book of life, dear God, that whoever that is listen be able to understand your word and know your name. Yahweh, our Father, in your Son, Yahshua, I pray. So shall it be. You have a blessed and lovely day, y'all. Praise God. What? Praise God. Praise God. Have a good one, y'all. Moo out.